Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. We are back after a week off because of things going on with Taco Bell Tuesday. Today is going to be a little bit shorter of a Taco Bell Tuesday stream just because I have some things I need to do, make sure that my taxes are all ironed out and whatnot. So I won't be doing any sim gameplay today. We're going to be doing a little bit of a different speed than we did in the previous two, where I'm just going to be discussing some things and looking at stuff. So we will get into that in just a moment. But real quick, if you are new to the channel, feel free to hit like on the stream to let me know that you like it. Consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell because it helps me and the channel out a ton. It's 100% free, and it lets you know anytime that I go live or do a new post or video. And then you can go ahead and share this with your friends if you want so they can hop in. So now that I got the promos out the way, yep, today we're going to be looking at a couple things which I have on my computer screen here. I just haven't showed it to you guys yet. But what I want to do today, other than kill this Taco Bell, is go over kind of where the game is at currently. So for a little bit of backstory on where I came from, and for games, sorry, for those of you who haven't been here before, I'm talking about the One Piece TCG. That's like one of my main gigs, right? That, and then I do streaming of playing like Terraria and other video games. But yeah, for a little bit of my history on trading card games, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was in like high school, right? When I was like 14 or whatever. So I played Yu-Gi-Oh! To start out, and I didn't really compete in it. I just had like a lot of fun. And then I started playing Magic, got into Magic Standard competitively, very heavy before switching to Commander. I had all of my Commander decks stolen at one point, and so because of that, I stopped playing card games for a while, and then eventually got back into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And started really just not liking my life, like hating time in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, and about that time was when I started trying out One Piece. And once I did, I fell in love with it, and I've been playing One Piece ever since. And so I started One Piece in about OPO 8, I think was the newest set. And so because of that, one of my first decks that I made was Reiju. I really liked Reiju. And then I built BY Luffy. And then my main deck, once OPO 9 hit, was Teach, and I played Teach for quite a while. And then ever since then, I've kind of branched out, and I've played kind of not the best deck of the format, but always like a solid contender deck. And then a bunch of rogue decks as well, which is, I think, what I'm more known for now. Right, running stuff like Red Black Sabo, Black Crocodile, Black Yellow Luffy still, Black Purple Luffy, things like that. So anyways, with that quick yap sesh out of the way, yeah, so what I'm going to be doing today is we're going to take a look at some card prices and the leader rankings. So let me go ahead and switch this over. So here we are. This is TCG Player. This is what I use to price most of my cards, what most people do. But this will have our card prices on it here. But what I want to look at first is the leader ranking. So I'm using this website here, Cardi Kaizoku. Really, really good website for a lot of different statistics and things. You can do deck building and things like that. You can do tier lists and whatnot. But today we're going to be looking at the leader rankings. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And what this can do is you can look at standard private games for the sim. And you can do standard for last week and all of that. So I'm going to look at last week first. So this is last week in private matches, which if you don't know, the way that competitive works for the One Piece Simulator is you have to do a private match, and then it has room codes that it matches you up with people and stuff. So this is the last week in competitive or whatever, or ranked, I think is what it's called. And so here we have Blue Yellow Nami at the top with a weighted win rate of 54.51% and a raw win rate of 56%. And it's only getting an 8% play rate. A lot of people are playing it, though. 46,000 games. I think that's the second most on here after the Try Hard deck, which is NL, right? Purple NL is just crazy right now. So this one here only has a weighted and raw win rate of about 52%. Actually, the raw is almost 53%. You got Ace here doing pretty well as well. Sky Luffy actually is like at the 50% mark, which is interesting. There's just a lot of people labbing it out and playing. Lucy takes over the... I think this was Grape Luffy last week, the green-purple. And then you got red-green Luffy, green-purple Luffy, green Mihawk. So just a solid slug of green decks here after the top meta decks. So you got yellow slop here to beat NL, as people are calling it. I personally think Nami is more along the lines of like the least yellow slop deck, but whatever. But you got Nami here. Nami's really good because she has a strong NL matchup and also a really good engine. So she has good matchups into all these except Lucy. NL here being the defining deck of the format, despite not being the best currently by ranking. And then Lucy here being the third best in my opinion because it is there to counter Nami. Ace is also pretty good at going into Nami, but he doesn't do well into NL or Lucy, I don't think. We'll look at matchups here in a second. And then all these green decks are good because they can run a card called Electrical Luna, which rests or keeps all of your opponent's characters with a cost 7 or less rested. And then right below Mihawk here, we have Jewelry Bonnie at 9th, coming up 4 slots. So a deck that a lot of people thought died when we lost the Borsellino and Rayquaza help pair, but apparently still making waves, which is pretty awesome because I do kind of want to build this deck. I think it looks really cool, right? Because 2 of my favorite decks of all time being Teach and Black Yellow Luffy, this deck kind of plays similarly because you want to be a 9k leader, but you also want to play 10 cost 12k blockers every turn. So, pretty excited to maybe build this deck and try it out. So I'll probably try that on the sim. But moving on down to round out the top 10, we have Gecko Moria. Kind of a bad, like, weighted win rate. And his normal win rate isn't that great either, but hey, more people are trying this than Bonnie, so it's got to be at least decent, right? There's almost as many Gecko players as Mihawk. Mihawk only has like 200-300 more than Gecko, it looks like. Oh, I'm dumb. Never mind. It's like 500, but whatever. So a lot of Gecko players, and then we have Crocodile at 11th. I'm gonna go down to the top 20. Crocodile at 11th. I think this deck's actually really solid. It's just a lot of people, I feel like, tried to pick up the deck once it won the Chinoizi Cup about a month or so back. And so people are like, oh, this deck must be great because this guy won in OP15 format. So a bunch of people picked it up. And just like when people pick up Red, Yellow, Sabo, I think they just did terrible with it. And so because of that, right, the deck hasn't performed as good as I think it is. I took it to locals, and the only reason I feel like I lost, the only game that I did, was because I just bricked. So this deck beats itself. I don't think its engine is bad enough to, like, lose unless you lose the die roll against NL. Maybe it's not that great into Lucy, but I haven't played the Lucy matchup. I can't imagine it's that bad. Maybe it is because you can bottom deck the Crocs, but I don't know. We'll see. I feel like anything that can deal with Cavendish pretty consistently, which this deck definitely can, and also put out like multiple bodies on a turn is probably going to be annoying for it. Right behind Croc, we have the deck that Croc kills, Dofi. You got Roronoa Zoro, OP12, the green one, coming in at 13th here. NL's at 14th. Yellow NL up a ton of spots. Oh my goodness, 9 spots. Good grief. Really putting in that work against the purple version. And then we got Calgara here doing pretty good, but dropping down 4 spots. Jewelry Bonnie actually making a resurgence. And then you have Emu, the old gatekeeper, now being gatekept himself. I mean, look at this weighted win rate, guys. 43%. 52% overall because it's got a solid engine. Yeah, 43% is not great. And then we have Kobe, Jinbei, and finally my boy Goldie Roger. And then right below this, you have the deck that a lot of people thought would do really well, Marshall D. Teach, followed by Sabo. I think the issue is Teach just can't thrive in a meta where you have these 3 decks, right? The 3 green decks. I just don't think Teach can thrive against green because there's too many options to rest their blockers, right? So, like, green, purple, Luffy's always been bad for Teach because they just swarm the board too fast and they can rest blockers. But now you have Mihawk, which can rest blockers and freeze things. And red-green Luffy, which is extremely defensive and also does the same thing. But, anyways, that being said, let's go ahead and look at some of these deck lists. Alright, hold on real quick. I gotta sign in. Thought I was signed in, but whatever. Ugh. Hold on. Where's my phone? Alright, I got to remember my password here. So let's see. Was it this? Phone is being slow. Let me try this. I think I have this one actually. There we go. Okay, sorry. All right, switch this back. Okay, here we go. Yo, what's up, Chris Hallis? Yeah, no, Vegapunk. So, okay, I do want to talk about this because my issue is, of course, Borsalino and Rayquaza was annoying, and in that like specific Gecko deck, it was super toxic. But like the whole point of that combo, like Borsalino in general, but especially that combo, was that card I feel like was supposed to support Sky Luffy, the new Bonnie, and Vegapunk, obviously all the Egghead leaders. And what they did was they're like, all right, well, the old Egghead leader that a lot of people really like, obviously because it keeps getting played, let's just make it to where you have to play either the best card or the second best card ever printed for this deck. And you can't play either or just to punish the other decks. All you had to do, and I know it's annoying because they could have just done this when they made the card, was errata it to say Egghead leader. In fact, what they could do is they don't even have to do that. I think they could do stuff called type bans and say this card can only be played, cannot be played in a deck unless the leader's Egghead. Like make like a type ban or something, or like you know what I mean. So if they had done that, I think it would have been fine. Because if I'm being honest here, the red yellow Bonnie deck, I don't think honestly is that amazing with the combo in it. So that's why I think it's getting a resurgence now, because people were so committed to putting those 12 cards in their deck that slowed down the actual game plan of the deck that now that it's gone, people are actually building the deck the way it was intended. So it did have to go because that Gecko deck was kind of crazy. But yeah, no, I'm not smart enough to play Vegapunk. Like I play, the new black engine and black purple Luffy, black yellow Luffy, Teach, green yellow Law, another one of my favorite decks. I play a lot of hard decks, and I just squint at Vegapunk lists and then go, nah. Like it's cool. I think it's really cool. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's a really good deck. It'll catch a lot of people off guard, but like Krieg is really annoying against it, and Krieg's not even that good, so getting pieced up by a rogue deck feels bad. Getting back the Kingdom Come event is like okay, but I don't think it does enough. Like it's not like we're running into a bunch of aces anymore, So Kingdom Come's like okay now. And then on top of that, Electrical Luna is like the defining meta. I mean, if we go back to our leader rankings real quick here. Okay, if we go back to our leader rankings real quick here. I mean, look at this. The 3 best decks outside of the top 5, which are all built around like the NL meta, are green. Yeah, no, I love decks like that though, Chris. I'm not gonna lie. Like decks that always it's a close game. Even if I'm losing those games, I still love to play close games or whatever. Oh, it unsigned me in. That's cool. All right, 1 second. All right, that's annoying. Anyways, so getting back to checking out these lists here. So we have blue yellow Nami, right, with a going first win rate of almost 60%. Oh my goodness. And then a going second win rate of 53.5. Now, I will say this win rate here is probably because a lot of matchups are just going into purple NL. I mean, look at how many games are played against NL here versus the others. You have almost 9,000 games in a week against NL. And then your next most are like mirror matches, then Lucy's, then Sky Luffy's, and then it kind of like pewters out to about even numbers. But yeah, for 9,000 games, every time you're playing them, you want to go first. See, so you're taking first here, 71% win rate. Yeah, like you're trying to go first here. So you're winning pretty much every first game, right? More often than you aren't. Going second, you have a 57% chance, right? Because that leader ability is crazy. Looking at a lot of the cards here that the deck is playing. Let's see here. We got Girl, obviously, Nami, Robin. There's a way to check hands. So let's go to deck list here. Or check deck list. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, have a good one, Chris. Thanks for dropping by. But yeah, looking at this list here, there's a couple staples that everybody's playing right now. So Nami, Robin, the Searcher, Borsalino, Zeus, and looks like everybody finally is on at least one new gate, probably two. And then Girl is also 100%. And then Thriller Bark Engine's very popular right now, right? So you run the 2K, the Moria, and then probably the Perona. Looks like some people are playing Hogback too. You have Kiku, right? The staple, one of my favorite cards. You have Sanji here, the new unblockable blocker. And then everything else actually starts to get kind of fair. Like 5% are playing Gravity Blade. You have some people playing Hiyori. You know, some people playing Marco. Some people still on the Kid. Not a lot of people on Nojiko actually is surprising to me. But looking at deck list, this is the number one deck list here. 2,700 games played. Win rate of 58.2%. 425 pilots. And it looks like they are on 4 Newgate. Oh my goodness. Are we really on 4 Newgate in 2026? Yeah, it looks like you give up your going first curve against the NL, but your going second's actually like really good. Okay. Interesting. You have a good matchup in the mirror match probably because you have 4 Newgates. You just get demolished by Lucy. Holy cow. And Ace, yeah. Ace was always not a great matchup. Red-Green Luffy is like literally die roll dependent. Yellow Luffy, you're winning. Okay, cool stuff. But yeah, so this is the Nami list that we're looking at here. Let me go back to the leaders now. And then how do you do the extra? No, that's download. Oops. Is it control? Yeah, there we go. So let's look at the NL. NL's list is just going to be super basic, so I'm not even going to look at it. We pretty much... Actually, no, I will look at NL list. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of text people are running here. So NL's got a first win rate of 58.4 and a second win rate of 45.9. Holy cow. All right, so if you don't win the die roll, you're probably just going to get cooked. That's crazy. Yeah, look, even in the mirror match, it's like 60-40 on whether or not you win the die roll. You're just sacrificed to the yellow gods against blue yellow Nami. You pretty easily cook the Lucy unless you lose die roll. Then it's like pretty even. Sky Luffy cooks you because of stuff like Wiper. Ace, you're good if you go first. If not, it's 50-50. So it looks like the Ace matchup's probably fine. You cook Grape Luffy, despite the fact that they're an aggro deck. And they have the, what's it called? Electrical Luna. Nice. Yeah, you fry Bonnie. I actually really think this Croc stat is interesting. So, if you win the die roll, you have like a 56% chance of winning. If you don't, you're going to lose 4 out of 10 games. So, 2 out of every 5 games you're not winning. Look at this. You have 49% win rate into Crocodile, guys. And I played the NL. I have it on my channel, actually. So if you guys want to check out my channel at my most recent Scrubbing Out episode, my full-length game review is against an NL. Granted, he did kind of brick because he didn't have a 1-drop on his first turn, but Croc doesn't feel bad into NL at all. That matchup actually feels pretty good, in my opinion. Now, that was from the perspective of me going first. So, for me as Croc, I would almost want to play a game where I'm on my curve, just to see if him on his curve is that much worse. But, yeah, I think Croc versus this is actually fine. You still kill Teach, despite Teach being able to kill 1 costs. You win Zoro because you're faster. You win Brook because you're too fast. Yeah. So that's NL. And now I'm going to look at a deck list real quick just to see what people are running. Yeah, see, so there's a lot of tech that people are running. So there's the obvious core, right? Ohm, Holly, Broken, Elthor, Kitten, Dragon, Mamaragan, and Secret NL. Yep, $57 Secret, by the way, guys. I think. We're about to check prices in a little bit. And then you see some people are running Divine Departure. A lot of people finally hopping onto Gamma Knife. This card is absurd. Don't know why people weren't running it. But yeah, this new Rage-U blocker here is like really good because you need 4 events in trash and then it becomes a 9-cost 7k blocker, which can both pressure the Nami and avoid things like the Electrical Luna. So really strong there. You have Sanji here because he lets you play him out for 3. He's a 3-cost 6k blocker in hand. And he's a 2k counter. Porsche, so that Porsche can play out little guys or like Holly or something. And then the Poxy, of course, for with some of the Porsches so that you can actually search 2Ks with Porsche instead of just grabbing another one. And then there's like a couple smaller techs. Gum Gum Lightning making an appearance. And then not a lot of people still on their Gadatsus. and then some law blockers. So looking at the list here, it looks like the best list that they have, the one that with the most plays anyways, is running 2 Gamma Knives, 2 Sanjis, and 3 of the, what is that, Reiju? Yeah, and then 2 Divine Departures, and everything else looks pretty standard. Yeah. Okay. 3 of the NO blockers, though, pretty interesting. I guess that's because they have Reiju, so they already have blockers, but anyways, that's what's going on with NO. Let's take a look at, I guess I'll look at a Lucy list just because I want to see if anybody's doing anything besides Sabo slot. No. Alright, so Lucy is literally just playing all of the searchers, Bella Betty's, and then Sabos, and like 1 Roger to win games. Sure. It's funny because it's a red-blue deck that is basically Sabo, but you can't play Garp in it. So you can't actually search your Roger or your Sabos with that. So they have to play Bella Betty. That's pretty cool. I'm going to take a look at Mihawks, actually, because Mihawk, to me, is an interesting choice in this meta. Because these two, I do think, are just better, right? Red-Green Luffy just being fast, like a more defensive option, and Green-Purple Luffy just being able to, like, swamp certain decks that can't deal with its bodies. But anyways, Mihawk, let's look at some lists. Yeah, I mean, first win rate of 52, second of 48. That's been the rules of Mihawk. If you go first, you win. If you don't go first, you probably lose. A lot of people have been swapping into Smoker, actually. I was playing with some guys on Sunday, and I have a game, actually, that I'm going to be putting out, like, today or tomorrow, where I was playing Red Yellow Sabo versus a Mihawk, and I noticed that they were playing Smokers, and he was still running Tashigi, but I know some people aren't even, yeah, look, 30%. Some people are dropping Tashigi here and would rather play Smoker over it, so it looks like the Supernovas build is becoming the more popular one just for that consistency. But yeah, not a lot of, like, the only thing people are for sure running is their Perona Searchers and the Lam Beppos. Like, look, even the boat only has an 85% play rate. So looking at this list, yeah, a new appearance is the Laboon 2K, right? Because it protects any character with base 7 or less. So people are running that because now they're running the Smoker. So this guy's running the, let's go ahead and open this, actually. I'm kind of interested. Yeah, so we got 4 Perona, 2 Kikunojo 2Ks. We got 4 of the Laboons to protect, and we got 2 Zoros. So 8 2Ks. Is that the only ones? Wow, okay. Yeah, this right here is why I could never play Mihawk personally. No, you know, not trying to slime out the Mihawk players, but I hate having no 2Ks in hand. I hate it so much. And then we have 4 Carrot, 4 Smoker, 3 Bonnie Blockers, 3 Laws, 4 Shanks, so he is still on Shanks. 4 Mihawk is interesting to me. Normally I see this at like 2 or 3, and then we have the 4 Beppos. But this one's doing 4, 4, and then 3. And then we have the Trichiliacosm. We have Demonora, Nine Sword Style, Ashura, Blades, Drawn, Dead Man's Game. I used to know that entire name by memory, but I forgot. We have that just at 1 because we can search it with Perona. This one right here is at 3. It's searchable Electrical Luna through both Perona and... Actually, we're not running Supernova searchers here, so no wonder he's running so many. 4 Lunas is kind of crazy, I think, and then 3 boats. So this one looks like he's leaning more on just like the old style, kind of like draw everything like you need to see it. How much is this deck? I'm curious. Show prices. So this deck is... Where's the total? 181. So pretty cheap, actually. What's going to run you up? Definitely the Zoros, which apparently you don't even need, guys. So if you're building the Supernova version, then you just run the... you just run like Supernova 2Ks, which are super cheap. Because these are $17.50 each, which is kind of crazy for a 2K. So yeah, you can just run like Scratchman and Poos and stuff. Everything else is like super affordable. These are kind of expensive, right? $14.65 because they are secret rares out of the same set that Kuma came from. Lunas are almost $6 each, so that's gonna run you $20 for a playset. Nine Sword Style is $5, and it looks like the rest of these are super affordable. Peronas are $8. Yeah, so if you build the Supernovas version, which I'll pull up one right now, because I think Supernovas, in my opinion, is just better because you're more consistent. Yeah, so here we go. This looks like a Supernova. It doesn't have a great win rate, but here we go. Yeah. So this one, if we price it out, yeah, this one's 211, so it's a little bit more, but it's because I think you're running more. Yeah, so less Smokers. These guys are running 4 of the Zoros, so that's where a lot of like that $70 for one playset of 2Ks. Hold on. How are we doing here? All right. I had a warning I had to check out. Okay, but yeah, so this one here, the only reason it's that expensive is because of these. So if you just replace these with like Apo 2Ks, you should be fine. I think the reason people are running this one, it's kind of like a bait, right? Because the idea is people are like, oh, well, you know, NL's just going to rest my guys. So I want to play this because it can't get rested. It rests characters through card effects. But if you look at this guy, if they would be rested by your opponent's character effect. So this can't actually protect itself. So I would just run the Apu 2K because I think it like can KO a 1 cost or something on play. And it's like not $70. But yeah, other than that, like, yeah, 4 Peronas is $8 each. This one's still running 2 of the 5 cost Perona. It's aight because you can stop Holly plus an Ohm. Yeah, so 4 of these, 3 of these, see like a smaller number. No Shankses either. 3 Lon Beppos, and then yeah, once again, it's just like your electrical Lunas. They're running 2 of these, so that's $8. And it's just it's just your secret Bonnies, your Zoros, and your Peronas are like carrying the price of this deck because the rest of these piles are pretty cheap. So anyways, that's Mihawk. Pretty interesting. There's like 1 or 2 more decks I want to check out, and then we'll look at some card prices. Keep in mind the cards that we've seen, guys, because there are things that I want to look at that are like kind of crazy prices. So real quick, out of all these decks, there's only 1 yellow deck in the top 10. Actually, there's 3 yellow decks in the top 10. So everybody's scared about yellow. But there's Nami, Luffy, and Bonnie. Now, Nami only ran the Borsalinos out of like the new yellow support, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead and double check. So I'm not just spouting nonsense here. But yeah, the top deck list, we got Nami, Robin, Borsalino. And that's like, okay, 1 Zoro in that one. And that one's like the no, that is Thriller Bark. So this one here has Borsalino. And like, that's it from the new yellow stuff. So these are from EBO2, or sorry, EBO3, and then you have the Borsalino. This one here, same thing, just Borsalino. So the only card that you're really seeing in this deck from the new yellow stuff is Borsalino and like maybe a 1Zs, 2Zs Zoro, okay? Those are the only yellow cards out of the new ones in this deck. And this is the definitive yellow deck, okay? The other one would be this guy, which not an amazing win rate, but whatever. Let's go ahead and look at a deck list for him. This guy's running Borsalino as well, but you also have 4 Zoros and 4 of the new secret 5 cost Luffy in like every list. So that one also has Luffy. But again, those are the only yellow cards. And the only other yellow deck in the top 10, which I'm going to look at now, is Bonnie. So Bonnie here has a pretty bad weighted win rate, but a raw win rate that's very good. It's got a first win rate of 53.46 and a second of 47.7, so pretty die roll dependent, it looks like. Your matchup spread, awful into NL, great into Nami, really bad into Lucy, good into Sky Luffy, terrible into Ace, great into Grape Luffy. This is like flip-flop. You just absolutely get demolished by Mihawk, and then you got good Moria matchups, good RG matchups, terrible Croc matchups, mirror matches, whatever. Blackbeard, you just get absolutely destroyed by because you have no on-plays. You good into Zoro, dice roll into Brook. Okay, so an okay matchup spread, I would say. You're only good into 1 out of the top 3 decks, but in my opinion, the best one to have a good matchup into. Not that NL is, like, not a deck to be scared of, but, like, there's not a lot of decks that have good matchups into them anyways, and I think a lot more people are starting to shift back to Blue Yellow Nami anyways. So, with that being said, let's take a look at the deck list. We have Nami's, the new Zoro, which isn't yellow, Borsalino, 2 of the secret blocker Luffy, and that's it. Next one is 4 Borsas, 3 secret Luffys, and that's it for new yellow stuff. 4 Borsas, 2 secret Luffys. Yeah, so you can see it's like maybe 2 to 4 of these secret 10-drop Luffys. None of the other decks are running that card. And as for the secret 5-cost Luffy, none of the decks are running that card except for Sky Luffy. And then Nami here. I mean, all of them are running Nami, the 5-cost one. And then all of them are running Borsalino. But Other than that, there's no decks in the top 10 that are even playing those cards. NL probably runs Borsalinos, and that's about it. So with that being said, we're now going to shift over to our market review. So let's go ahead and go to the newest set here, Adventure on Kami's Island, and we are going to look at singles. So let's see here. We're going to go high to low. Let's just take a gander at what's expensive here. Obviously the mangas, whatever. All of the SPs here. And let's get to the real cards. Yeah, interesting. The Monkey D Luffy, right? The Yellow Sky Luffy is more expensive than the NL alternate art, despite NL being significantly better than this overall. And then you have Lucy a little bit below that. Look at this, guys. $48 for a secret rare. Granted, probably the best deck in the format, but this card is in literally no other decks right now that I'm aware of. Maybe Reiju, but Reiju's nowhere near the top. Yeah, look at this. $50. $50 a copy. Let's look at some... Yeah, look at that. People paying $50 for a copy of this card to play a purple deck. That is a dice roll deck. And then right below this, look at this, guys. This secret rare Luffy that is in a single of the top 10, probably top 15 decks. $47. Granted, it's a Luffy, but this is base rarity, guys. Base rarity. This is the I don't know what the hype around these cards is. Is it because his name is Luffy D Monkey? Is that what it is? I mean, this is just insane. This card right here, like, it's good in a bunch of decks, right? Like, it's good in BY Luffy. It's probably good in, like, I don't know, Egghead Luffy or something like that. Obviously, Sky Luffy and Calgara, but, like, Nami's not using it. No, like, nobody's using this, and this is $50. For comparison here. Because this card is still on shelves, and I get that it's in a split set with EB. But for comparison here, let's take a gander at something, okay? Let's take a gander at something here. So let me open this tab again. Now, I'm going to go back. We're going to go to One Piece, OP14. We're going to go here and shop singles. Look at the secret rares from this set. Alright, well, we're already below the $50 range, and I don't see a single one other than alts. Alright, second page, and now we're finally finding one of them at $9. Crocodile. Mihawk. $3. Guys, I get it's Luffy. I get it's in the set that just came out. But $50 for a card that's good in... Let's take a look again. Oh, yeah. One deck out of the top, like, 20. Actually, two, I guess. You can use it in this. But two decks out of the top 20. Guys, for reference, the green Mihawk Secret Rare is usable in one deck that is also in the top 10. And it is literally less than a tenth of the price of that Luffy. I would not buy this. I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do with your money, but this is insane. I'm waiting for this to go down. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other Luffy just to make sure that I'm not crazy. Oh, what do you know? $20. $20 for a secret rare. Granted, a little bit less usable across the board, but $20 for this secret rare is still... I mean, I'm going to wait probably another week on this one just to see if it settles down. I think this will end up being around 15 because look at this. Started at 30, dipped down to like 18, came back up for a little bit. Now it's at 22. So if you're playing Bonnie and you want to play it now, I don't think it's an awful idea to pick up a playset if you really need to. I would just get like 2 or 3 of them and try to make your deck work with that. But I think it'll settle. The only thing that would make that not be the case is if Bonnie starts putting up some numbers, but I doubt it. Yeah, guys, these are some crazy stats here for the yellow cards. And those are just the base rarities. We also have Borsalino back up to $28. Makes sense, guys. Remember when this got pair banned and it dropped down a ton? I think I picked up 3 of them for $23 each. And now look at this. People are selling them for 25. Lightly played. Like, people are already putting the work in on these. Look at that. 26, 27. Going back up. Going back up. Let's look at some data. Yeah, look at that. People buying them at 28, 29 bucks. 30 bucks right there. So, Borsalino, when he got pair banned, I immediately went to TCG Player and checked prices and just snap bought him because he plummeted in value. This card is still insane, guys. Still really insane. Now, this one here is kind of surprising to me because this is good in, like, 2 decks. It's good in Red Purple Roger. It's good in Red Purple Luffy, but that deck's not doing anything. And then it's good in Bonnie. And this card is $25. $24, $25. Yeah, look, you have 2. I think that's just the same listing, actually. You have one listing at 24, the rest are like 25. That one surprised me because this is an SR. I would not get this one. I need this card for a deck, and I have not got it yet. So I would hold off on that. That is a crazy price as well. And then going on down, you got Krieg at 21 bucks. Where is he even at, actually? Hold on. Let's go digging. There he is, 25th. So if you want to play Krieg, you're only slightly better than Egghead Luffy and Vivi. And you're about the same level as Boa and Brook. So there's that. Crazy. Yeah, and then looking at the rest of these prices, your Zoros are staying at about 8. This actually went up a bit. I would pick up Zoros now. I picked mine up at about 6.5, 7 bucks each. And I do not regret that. And then these are all like Dawn cards and dash packs. Dude, this looks insane, by the way, chat. I really want this card. This looks really good. I bet it looks even better in person too, but I'm not paying 7 bucks for no Dawn card. Heck no. Alright, and then everything else is starting to peter out at like 2 bucks. Some interesting things that I want to say about these though. It's really interesting to see what cards are what price. Like this Nami here and this Sabo are almost the same price. This Nami is way more versatile than this. Like this Sabo is good in a deck, and it is Lucy. Any other deck, I don't think you play this. Nami here is usable in a lot of black decks, like Brook, Black Yellow Luffy, Black Purple Luffy, right? Like any black Straw Hat deck, even just Black Luffy, it can be played in. So I think that this Nami here has a lot of playability. And then look at this, $3, $3.5 bucks for a rare. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy, chat. Anyway, so there's those. Now, something that I want to do while we're here is I want to price out the decks that are getting starter decks when we get to the summer, right? So for those of you who don't know, in the summer, we are getting new starter decks to support old strategies. With that, excuse me. My food's actually getting cold here because I'm just yapping. With that, right? 6 leaders, 1 in each color, getting a starter deck built around them. So I'm going to scroll down here until we find one. One of them is Zoro. So Zoro is the 13th best deck right now. 13th. Okay? So he's already a decent, like, tier 2 rogue pick option here into the meta. He's good into Lucy. He kind of gets folded by these two. But he's got a pretty okay matchup spread for the most part. But what I want to do is I want you to see a potential for investment here. So let's just look at the top deck, nothing too crazy, and price it out. 84 bucks, guys. And all that price is being driven by Electrical Luna. So and Perona. So if you already have your Peronas, that's great. But if minus Perona and Electrical Luna, this is like a $20, $30 deck, guys. This deck is dirt cheap. And then it's going to get a starter deck, which is going to reprint some of these cards and give you support that will make you more relevant. Because if you remember the last wave of support starter decks that we got, they kind of like made those decks pop off, right? Black Purple Luffy was scary for a minute once we got the Cheers Luffy. So this deck is really cheap, guys. Really, really cheap. And there's a lot you can do with it too. Like I don't see there's a card, the Kinemon card I think that's really good that I like to play. I play it in Yamato, but it's really good in here too because you restand. Yeah, you got stuff like Kozuki Odin as well. Look at these deck lists. These are so cool. There's a lot of room to play with Zoro there. So Zoro's already really good. He was a menace for the longest time, and he's getting a starter deck this summer. So if you have green cards or you want to play green and you want to play a more aggressive strategy as opposed to Mihawk, or like Red Green Luffy, consider picking up your Zoro cards. All right, now the next deck that is getting one is actually my boy Red Black Sabo. So one thing I will say is Red Black Sabo he's not getting a lot of testing done, right? Not at all. Like, more people are playing Brook than Sabo. Or Jinbei, right? Or even Emu. But Sabo here is still a really solid deck. So its weighted win rate is 41, but its raw win rate is actually 50. So going first, you're winning, 40% of your games. Going second, you're winning 57 almost. So you get kind of pieced up by NL, right? You do really great in Nanami if you win the die roll. Otherwise, you just kind of lose. But you have an overall slightly winning matchup. You kind of lose to Lucy because they can remove your bodies. Sky Luffy is losing, right, if you win die roll. Ace, for some reason, is losing. But this should not be a losing matchup, guys. I think it's because the deck's trying to tech for these four, and so it's getting beat up by Ace. You have OK Luffy, really good Mihawk. You can basically just destroy all of the rogue matchups except for Zoro, because we've always lost to Zoro with this deck, and the Crocodile. But yeah, this deck is actually pretty decent here. And if I'm not mistaken, this deck's also extremely cheap. The only thing that's going to be expensive is these Rogers. Those are about 35, 40 bucks a copy. So let's just go ahead and open up this list here. This looks about average. One thing I'll say is you normally don't play this Koala here. So let me actually find a list that does not have that Koala in it, because I don't like that Koala. Are they all playing it? Why are we Okay, guys. Well, we'll open this one back up. There's a couple cards I want to note here. This Zoro here being a tech option is pretty cool, but it's going to make your price a lot, right? Because if you remember, these cards are like 20 bucks each. So that's going to put your deck at 228. But Roger's being run at 2 here, and you're running Zoro at 4. I don't think you need the 4 Zoros. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this a little different. Just change some of these ratios around to what I think is safer. So I don't even think you need that card really, but I'll leave it in for now. How many 2Ks are we running here? Hold on. I think there's 2Ks. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, they're only running 10 2Ks. So here's what I run. I think it's a lot more consistent, and this deck's real name of the game is consistency. So run something like this, this, and this. So that should be, is it still 50? This is 50 cards. What are we missing? What am I missing here? Oh, more koalas. Okay. Bump of the hacks. So with 2 Zoros, right, your deck is now only 162. And the difference that I run is I don't run the Zoros. I just have 2 more of these 4-drop koalas. So I run 4 koala, 2 hack, and 3 mixed Sabos. In fact, we can just cut this because I don't think you need that, and run an extra koala here. Yeah, 163, so much more affordable. And again, your driving price is going to be those 2 Zoros being 50 bucks total. These, I think these are SRs, right? Yeah, from PRB2 are pretty expensive. These secrets are only 587. I would definitely consider picking these up now. This is a really affordable price, guys. And especially if you can get them off people. There's a lot of people that have these in their binders. So you can probably get them for less than this in trade or just buying off of your friends. Roger. I think you always should have 1 to 2 of this card. This card's insane. And then the rest of these ratios are probably fine, guys. The reason why I cut out those Koala 2Ks is because you want to be able to resolve all of your searchers, because you have 15 searchers total, right? 4 of these, 4 of these, 4 of these, and 3 of these. And this cannot find koala. So you have 3 of these already. Having 4 2Ks means your likelihood of whiffing this is pretty high. But yeah, this deck's really solid. Really, really good curving deck. And it's getting a starter deck. So really excited. It's already 22nd, which is pretty decent overall. So I would consider, maybe picking up this core if you can. Just little piece by piece. If you don't want to run Roger, it's also not the end of the world. If you don't want to run Stussy, I could also see people cutting that for more Zoros or something, because this is expensive. But, I mean, I'm telling you right now, I don't even have this in my list, and the deck is still really good. So that is that deck. And then I think there's one other one that I wanted to take a look at that's getting a starter deck. So this guy right here, Kuzan. Blue Kuzan is getting a starter deck support, which is crazy because this deck was already good when it came out, kind of fell off, so they printed its support in PRB4, or sorry, EBO4, and now it's getting a starter deck on top of that. If you want to play like a really good blue deck that still has hand hate here with this Isho, this might be the deck for you. This Isho says if your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand when you play it, or I think it's either 6 or 7. I think it's 7. Let's see. Hold on. Open Sesame. Yeah. So on play, you can trash 2 from your hand. If your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, they have to bottom deck 2 of their cards. So it has the same window as Pudding. Now you say, oh, well, you have to trash 2 as well, so it's card negative. Your leader says whenever you trash a card from your hand by your Navy effect, you draw cards equal to the number trashed. So really, you just cycle 2 cards from your hand, and then your opponent has to bottom 2. It's a 5/7 that when you give it a Dawn and it attacks, you can cycle a card out of your hand, and then give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2k power for the turn. Really, really strong. This deck, another one that curves out really well. Has a lot of strong options, right? You have this Hina to disable blockers that are small. You have this Sanji to make your guys unblockable. You have giant bodies that chain play each other out. So very, very strong mid to late game. And then you have great control tools like the ability to search Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. You have Ice Time to freeze 2 10k or less characters. And then you have your 4k events that also replace one of the cards in your hand. Really, really strong. So this deck is also getting a starter deck. And this one should be like pennies. Yeah, look at this, guys. Look at this. If you want an affordable deck that could turn around and take over $15 for a playable rogue deck that's going to be getting support in a couple months, that seems pretty good. And, I mean, hey, let's just, you know, swap this to the other leader if you want, right? So let's, how do you swap these out? Oh, I just deleted it. Whatever. But yeah, the alt leader I think is like 15, 20 bucks itself. So yeah, this deck, super affordable, guys. Like, look, none of these cards are more than $1 each, I don't think, right? Let's see. Okay, these Sanjis are literally $1 each, and everything else is like pennies. Gravity Blades, $2, whatever. Yeah, this deck, super affordable, guys. So if you're trying to pick up a rogue deck that's going to get support, this might just be the deck for you. All right, but that is the prices there for those kind of rogue decks. So this is out of the new set. Let's go ahead and take a look at OP14 real quick. There we are. So taking a look at OP14, the mangas for Ground Death are starting to go back up. A lot of stuff is dropping, though. Like the You'll Frighten Me's are down, way down. The Boa leaders are going down. The alts for Boa are going down. The alt for Croc is actually starting to go back up. Like the leader, I think I got him for 20 and he's back up to 40 now. The all Sundays are going up. So the cards for Crocodile are going up because the deck is seeing some play. If you want to pick up your alt Mihawk leaders because you want to play green, that actually isn't a terrible idea now because the alts are all pretty cheap considering they're alted. So, I mean, look at that. That's less than a Perona copy. So you can either max out your Nami deck or you can buy twice as many Mihawks. Kind of crazy. And then going on down here, a lot of these alts are like the only value left in this set. Yeah, geckos are still $8, actually more than the boas now, which is hilarious. I remember people paying $30 a copy for this. The Croc secrets are finally up because the deck is getting better. So a lot of stuff from 14 is now pretty affordable. So I think if you don't have your playsets, wait, hold on. Thought I saw something here. Ground Death at $5. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, yeah, I guess if you want Ground Death, that's a $5 card, guys. But yeah, look at the rest of these, super cheap and affordable for pretty much anything you want. I mean, look at this, Dash Pack Rayleigh for $2. Honestly, a really good card. So yeah, that's another deck that is, or another card that's really affordable. So there's a lot of affordable stuff out of this set here, guys. So, what else? We can look at some 13 real quick. Carrying on his will. Obviously, the red mangas are all up there. Good grief, dude. $9,000 for a One Piece card? No, thank you. These are all just money cards. Oh, my goodness. Hey, I have one of these. All right, well, I guess if you have an alt Secret Luffy, you have $90 almost. Okay. this Roger is actually super affordable for an alt. So if you want one of the best looking alts in the game, in my opinion, one of the cleanest alts in the game, you got Roger here. Where's the base arts, dude? There's like literally no base arts. Hello? Okay. So it looks like, let me just make sure. There's no way this is the most expensive one, right? Okay. Okay, I was about to say. So the most expensive base art card is going to be your secret rare green Luffy's. So RG Luffy is going to be one of the more expensive decks because this card is literally $30 for a single secret rare. It looks like. Let me make sure that's not just market value shenanigans. There we go. Yeah, so this is $30 a card for this secret rare. And then other than that, like, moving on down, the next base art you're looking at is the Sabo at $5. Look at these guys. All these alts are dirt cheap. Yeah, aces are 2, Bonnies are 3. So if you guys need stuff from OP13 and OP14, now's a pretty good time to pick them up. Especially these Sabos. Low-key, you could just probably invest in these if the Sabo deck's getting support. Because that deck already has a really strong core, so there's that. Let's go ahead and take a look, a little peeksy here at EBO3. Where's that going to be at? There we go. The prices on Nami are still going to be expensive. Hold on, let me uncheck this one. Yeah, the Namis are still going to be expensive just because it's such a good card. Yeah, so looks like about $30 for a copy of Nami. Still, which is, I mean, I can't say it's not fair. 3 out of the top 10 decks are all running 4 copies of that card. You got your Robins are probably in here too. Yep, $15 a copy. What else is in here? Anything? Yeah, looks like everything else from this set is starting to pewter out and be affordable. Like these are all alts except for this Law here, and they're pretty affordable. Yeah, the Secret Law is 15. These are 5. VVs are like $3. So if you need your VVs, you wanted to build VV or use this card as a tech card in like Ace or something, the blue yellow Ace that is, then by all means snap it up. Look at these. These are, I mean, they're just giving these away practically. So, all right, looks like pretty much everything's affordable except for the new set. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today's stream. Like I said, just a slower stream overall, just because you know I have taxes, things I need to do. But thank you guys for dropping by. If you did, if you like the content, please feel free to drop a like on the stream or one of my recent videos if you decide to go check one of those out. While you're down there, you can hit the subscribe button because it's free and it helps me and the channel out a ton. And you can hit the notification bell right next to it so that you don't miss when I go live or do a post video, you know, whatever. You can share this video with your friends hitting that curvy arrow button so that they can see what's going on, check out prices, or any of my other videos. And then last but not least, feel free to leave a comment down below in this or my most recent video, just saying what you'd like to see in the future, things that I might have missed, or things that you thought were worth pointing out, and I will be sure to respond and check that out. So with that being said, guys, that is going to end our Taco Bell Tuesday stream for today. So I'm going to finish my food, and I will see you guys